You're going to hear a lot about process at EIMS. As you'll discover, process is part of our secret sauce. We put a lot of effort into designing processes in the first place, and we also spend a lot of time and money building systems that support them. It's key to our success, and so you might as well know about process right up front. Okay, so what is a process? Well, the formal definition goes something like this. A process is a repeatable sequence of activities undertaken to produce a desired result. Now, there are few things of any worth created by a single person working alone. Nearly always it takes the combined efforts of many people, but we specialize. We break up the job of creating value into chunks of activities that individuals can do according to their skill set. We do these activities in a given sequence. We do our bit of work and then pass it on to the next person, like an assembly line. And like an assembly line, a process has a start, an end, and a series of activities in between. Each activity creates something or changes something. The business process jargon for this is added value. So something goes into the activity and something different comes out. Technically, we call these the input and output. We usually assign somebody who has the right skill set the responsibility of doing the work. We call this their role. Sometimes in the sequence we need to make a decision with different paths to follow, depending on the result. So there can be branches or gateways. Since people work together in a process, there are points along the way when the work is handed on from one person to another. That's called a handoff. It turns out that handoffs are key moments in a process and have a huge impact on their efficiency. So that's activities, roles, input and output, decisions, adding value, and handoffs. That's it. All the process jargon you'll ever need to know. Okay, why the big obsession with process? Well, think of a company that you admire. Amazon, Toyota, Southwest. Now, Southwest is a US airline. It is consistently more reliable, cheaper, and more profitable than any other United States domestic airline. And yet, it uses the same kind of planes and flies to the same safety standards and pays pretty much the same for its pilots and its aviation fuel as its competitors. So, how does Southwest manage it? In fact, how do all these companies get ahead of the competition on a consistent basis? Now, you could argue that they have a much better business strategy, or they have outstanding leadership, or they have some sustainable competitive advantage that nobody else can match. But when you start peeling away the layers, what you find is that successful companies at their core simply have better processes than anyone else. Yes, it turns out that if all those inputs and outputs are the result of activities and handoffs that are just a little bit more efficient than anyone else's, just a little bit cheaper to execute, if it all happens just a little bit faster at each stage, then all that compounds up into a massive advantage. That's it. That's the big secret. The companies that we admire compete like everyone else by being faster, better, cheaper than the other guys. But they get ahead of the pack and keep pulling away by taking the time to make each stage of the process better and better. What do we have to do to be to sales and marketing what Toyota is to the automotive industry? Well, we have to take the same care and make the same investment in our processes as Toyota or Amazon or Southwest do to theirs. So yes, we are a bit obsessed with process. Okay, so we've had a brief tour and covered the essentials. So what does this mean for you personally here at EIMS? What do we expect of you when it comes to process? Well, we want you to understand the general concepts of process and to be able to know why they're important. This video contains most of what you need for that. You should be able to use the basic process vocabulary, the jargon we mentioned earlier, and of course you have to pass the test. We also want you to know your own processes inside out, to be aware of your handoff responsibilities. The processes that you use every day are your processes. They're certainly not written on tablets of stone and handed down. In fact, the first time we design a process, we know very well that it's not going to be perfect. So we will refine it and try again. We will do that over and over and over to evolve our way to a better process. And when we say we really mean you. Yes, you can suggest changes to your own processes. Make a case for why it will help you do your job better, and we will adjust the process. In another video, we'll introduce our approach to actually designing and improving process. We call this lean or lean thinking. But for now, it's enough to know that lean is a concept and a set of tools and principles to improve process. So by now you may be thinking that all this process stuff is going to be a significant part of your job. Maybe you're wondering if this is a good thing or not. So what's in it for you? First and foremost, you will know exactly what your job is and how to do it. You will have all the information and support you need to do it well. You could also see how serious we are about making this a successful company. We have carefully recruited you to play a part in that, now and in the future. This is not a place where you're exchanging your labour for money. You're working for a company that has invested heavily, not just to recruit and train you, but in building the foundation of the future. That means you have a career, not just a job. We said at the beginning, we know that the roots of success are in simply doing things better than the other guys. And that depends on our processes. If we can all keep that in mind, we will all go a lot further and a lot faster. And you'll have a lot more job satisfaction than in any job you're ever likely to have in your working life.